Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rourke with Scott Varilek with Kooima Kooima Varilek. And the grain trade, mostly lower except for a few wheat contracts. Over in the livestock futures, hogs have kind of pulled back here, but cattle are seeing a bit of a recovery here. And Scott, thanks for joining us. Let's talk about the cattle because we have been dominated by these HPAI headlines. A lot of uncertainty in the market. We're up today. Can we hold on to these gains?
Yeah, and thanks for having me. And unfortunately, yeah, that's our lead story is avian influenza and what that's doing to the market. I think every day we learn a little more. Every day the story develops. It hasn't probably developed in the way we want it to as we shed more light on some of the issues and we test a lot harder now. So there's still a lot of questions revolving around what is happening. We just started testing for cows for the first time here, just a couple months ago. So that's our first entry into what does this mean to cows? Has it always been there? We don't know. We've only just started testing for it. But when you find it in the Texas Panhandle and it's in Michigan, it's in Utah, it's in New Mexico, it reached that large of an area. To me, I think it's already been around. We're just finding it now and maybe starting to learn more about what that's affecting, how it's spreading. We're not sure. There's not a lot of answers on that yet. Is it, the instances where it did test positive, there was dead birds noted on the place. So that's obviously where it should be coming from, but there still isn't a fact that it's going from cow to cow yet. That'll be the next thing. It takes a lot of time to try to study if that can happen. So it's not something we're going to get an answer to right away. But so we're trying to take as many measures as we can to try to learn as fast as we can. We have to become experts in some very weird things, whether it's how fast can a producer or somebody weld in a plant to now bird flu going to cows. So we're gonna take it as we roll along here.
Yeah, we haven't had it detected in beef cattle yet, but it's probably only a matter of time before we find it. But as we know more, Scott, as we go along and we calm some of the fears here and get more questions answered, do you think the funds can come back into this market? Because right now they've just left because of the uncertainty, haven't they?
Yeah, uncertainty has been the reason we're down, and uncertainty is always bearish. So we didn't have a lot of answers. Nobody knew what was happening, and every day it comes along where we're not sure. But you mentioned about the beef cow testing. Yeah, I think it's a matter of time. And now that we're testing everything, I think we're going to find it. I think all cows have access to birds in areas, so I think it's going to happen. We've already found it in so many different kinds of animals, and it's already been in people since, this disease has been around since the 1880s. Got to believe that's about when they started testing for it. So has it been around before that? Possibly. 1920s was the first time it got into the United States. And now this is just the first time we're testing it in the cows. So yesterday there was a little news that it got on. There was a person in Vietnam that had passed away from avian bird flu, and it was a little bit of a scare. Okay, that was news. I mean, these rumors are passing around because we don't have a lot of answers. But when you do some research, since 2003 in Vietnam, there has been 65 confirmed cases of people that have died from avian influenza, and that is a very small percentage, 65 out of 98 million people in that country there. So you're starting to realize, okay, this has been around a lot longer than we thought. I feel like part of the market, you asked about the funds getting back in this. I think we're, as we answer some of these questions, we can put some of this to rest. And we know that the food doesn't have any issues. And the milk, as long as it's pasteurized, as long as we cook the meat, we're good. But that is that, we don't eat raw meat. We need to cook meat. So I think the food safety makes us feel good. And we can start to turn the corner a little bit here, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And cash trade news has been getting better. So that should be supportive, especially because the futures are at a discount, aren't they?
Yeah, the cash news was surprisingly, better than I expected, I guess, for this week, because we had such a dive in these futures and everybody was pretty scared. And if you had cattle on the show list, maybe for a couple of weeks, you're nervous and you want to sell them. And usually when you have a market that's this nervous or there's an issue, the guy that really gets hosed is these cash negotiator guys. There's few of them. left, a smaller percentage, I guess I should say. But they're the ones out in front getting some pretty good prices. I felt like there was some, a large percentage of the show list that said, I want to get these gone. I'm willing to probably take a lot less. The 190, 191, I'm okay with that. I want to pull it down. And then suddenly 187 happened, and then only got better from there. So there was some 189 delivered to some majors. The majors have just jumped, raised again to 299 this morning. So those prices are still climbing, and we're starting to feel like, hey, this is okay. It's up to the South to decide if they want to stay with this trend or not, because early bids in the South this morning were 182. We're hoping nobody trips that trigger there and that they can stand up and move higher. But it's been easy to sell cattle for negotiators, and that's a great, healthy sign for the market. The demand has been good. The packers want cattle, and if we've got this slow kill, but how are we not just extremely backed up on cattle? It still feels like we're a little current, and we've got some leverage to get some higher prices on some cattle.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we hold yesterday's lows. That's kind of the key here, isn't it?
Yep. The charts are hard to watch. They're pretty whippy, but yeah, yesterday's lows. And when we take out any of those kind of chart movements, algorithms are moving. The bids and offers are changing very swiftly. So we've got a pretty nervous market here.
Yeah. So the hogs are kind of setting back here today and all but the nearby contract, but hogs have almost looked like they've benefited from the HPAI news, but cash and cutouts have also been pushing that market, and even some new contract highs in the back months yesterday. Amazing.
Right. And oddly enough, as cattle have been suffering and breaking, the hogs have just quietly rallied on and moved ahead, made it some contract highs, as you said, broke out of some of those top ranges, and those breakout points, 102 for those summers is going to become support now. And like what I see there, but this market, about a month ago, it was isoines all of a sudden jumped to $60, and then feeders are $100, and it almost doubling in price. And it was pretty fast. It's like the market kind of figured it out first that, hey, this supply is not as lucrative as you thought. Like there's just not as many numbers as expected. So the cash started to tell us that, and I think the futures are finally catching on. We've got some cash prices now that are better than they have been in a long time, and got a little boost in the step there. So you could maybe point to some cattle hog spreading, not completely, but when you can throw that on top of it. These fundamentals have been good, and I suppose the cattle hog spreading is not gonna hurt, but we'll probably get that question answered when cattle recover to see if hogs are going to be done or not then.
And let's talk about the grain trade. We had a pop yesterday, which was actually surprising in soybeans because the charts didn't look very good after Tuesday. But right now, what do you think is the market sentiment going into planting season? Do these funds want to be short in this market with the risk and uncertainty of a planting season ahead?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it's been lacking of major news in these grain markets, and the funds have been happy just to stay short. And I don't think that they see a reason right now to say they need to change anything from what they're doing and get out of their shorts. I don't think the risk, they know that we're going to plant, and we're going to get planted in pretty good fashion here. That's kind of in the spotlight right now. We're starting to look at the fields, look at the forecast. It's kind of fun to turn the weather maps back on and see what the temperatures are, where the rain's going to be. So we're back into that season. But I don't think they're going to see any major issues from the start. It usually takes till the middle of June. You get towards the end of June or around the July 4 weekend before there would be, okay, I see a problem and we're going to change course. So I don't see them changing course from being short. And I think we're just kind of stuck in this range with the lack of news and demand kind of fluttering. Maybe you can talk about some ethanol margins being pretty good for the corn to maybe give it a nice firm bottom, but it's been just so lacking of news, and even when you're trying to get in for a small trade, it takes so long for it to move that I don't think we're going to see any long movement here for a while, till after we get it planted and start talking about weather. So we got plenty of time to probably sit here and be bored yet.
Yeah, I was going to say our best hope is some sort of a weather rally, and that is yet to come. So, all right, thanks for joining us, Scott Varilek with Kooima Kooima Varilek. That is Markets Now.